Hey everyone! Today I wanted to make a video talking a little bit about the merchandise role at the Walt Disney World Resort. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Disney College Program alumni. My first program was Spring Advantage 2014, and I worked in merchandise. So I wanted to fill you guys in and let you know the ins and outs and the pros and cons of the role, and also share a little bit about my personal experiences in my area. Just a quick side note, this video is about my experiences at Walt Disney World. I don't know if the merchandise role is any different at Disneyland, so this really only pertains to Orlando, though I'm sure there are some similarities. Merchandise is the retail side of Walt Disney World, and it encompasses a large amount of different opportunities to help guests make magical memories. Some of your responsibilities include processing guest transactions with the cash register or a cash apron, stocking shelves, and maintaining a clean and neat work center. Training for merchandise is fairly easy. It involves a couple of days at Disney University learning about American currency and the cash register. They give you a lot of time to really understand how they want you to interact with guests. They get you prepared at Disney University before you actually have to step out into your location, which is really nice, so you're not completely lost on your first day, like walking into whatever park or resort you may be at. It takes about 5 to 7 days total to earn your ears of merchandise. It depends on your area and if you have any specialized training needed. I just want to quickly go through some of the pros and cons of merchandise in my opinion, so that you'll be a little more prepared for what to expect when you arrive. As a merchandise cast member, you can work in all 4 Disney theme parks. That's a really great opportunity because sometimes after 4 or 8 months of working in the same location, you can get a little bored. So this way you can switch it up and trade shifts up to work in other parks. That's a really cool option that a lot of other roles don't have. Because for example, if you're in attractions, you can only work at the attraction that you're trained at. Picking up extra hours is extremely easy in merchandise if that's something you're interested in. Because of the fact that you can work in all 4 parks, you can pick up shifts from people that are trying to give shifts away, not only in your area, but in all the other parks as well. So getting hours is no problem at all. There are Facebook groups, not only for the merchandise role itself, but also for each individual area, which makes it really easy to find shifts on your days off or an extra shift on a day that you already work to pick up and get some extra hours in. The opposite is also true. It's incredibly easy to give away or trade a shift as well. You just post a shift on the Facebook page and almost always someone is going to pick it up. I did it all the time. It's really easy, so that's one huge pro. If you don't get a location that you like, this is also beneficial. I knew someone on my program who absolutely hated the thought of working in our location at Epcot, and he traded nearly all his shifts to work on Main Street at Magic Kingdom because that's where he wanted to be. So it's not hard to do at all. There is tons of guest interaction in merchandise. Your entire day is working with guests, which is really cool. You get to meet people from all over the world. There's also so much interaction with little kids, and you get to make magical moments for them, and you really get to make people's day. Without a doubt, my absolute favorite part of merchandise was merchantaining. What is merchantaining, you might wonder? Well, merchantaining means that you get to wear these babies all day, every day, anytime you want, and it's awesome. There is something about getting to wear Mickey Mouse ears, princess crowns, and playing with toys all day, which just makes your shift a lot better, no matter what kind of day you're having. Merchantaining basically means you can use any item in your location to promote that item to guests. In my area, in addition to wearing ears, we also had a lot of fun toys. We sold these battery-operated monorails with remote controls. We also sold these tiny little plush Mickey Mouses, and one of my best friends decided to tape the little plush Mickey Mouse to the front of the monorail like he was driving it and attach a sticker train to the back of it. And so we would all use the remote control and just drive it around and let little kids come and pick up stickers off of the train. And sometimes they didn't really notice that we were using a remote control, so they'd be like, who's driving it? Like, what is this? It definitely killed a lot of time. So I'm really thankful that she figured that out and brought that to our area, because I had a lot of fun with that towards the end of my program. My second favorite part of merchandise was definitely pin trading. If you haven't pin traded as a guest, you might not understand the hype. There is something incredibly magical about pin trading. I am addicted to it. I love it. So it was really fun for me to be on the opposite end and actually get to trade with guests and help them complete their sets, as opposed to being the guest that's having their set completed by a cast member. If you don't know, pin trading is a really, really big deal at Disney. A lot of roles don't get to pin trade, but merchandise is one that does get to. So you get to make a lot of great connections with guests and have a lot of magical moments when you have the pin that completes their set, or when you have a pin with their favorite character that they haven't seen before. Every job has pros and cons, and the roles at Walt Disney World are no exception. Merchandise has a lot of fun points to it, but it also has some things that aren't so great. So here's some of the downsides to merchandise. If your home location is at a park, You unfortunately can't work in a resort without additional training. One of the reasons for this is that resort gift shops sell alcohol while park gift shops do not. So if you're in a park, you don't have alcohol training and therefore can't sell alcohol. However, if your home location is a resort, you can pick up shifts in the parks. When I applied for merchandise, I put high interest in it, and it was my third role in my top 3. I had a lot of retail experience, and I knew that it was a job I would be good at. What I didn't know is that a lot of merchandise jobs at Disney World are not what you would expect them to be. They're not all standing behind a counter ringing out guests or stocking shelves. There's some that are a little more unique than that, so here's a few examples of what you may get if you select merchandise as your role. You could be selling balloons on the side of Main Street USA or Hollywood Boulevard. While most transactions in merchandise are done with a register, there are certain types of merch that are sold through cash apron, balloons being one of them. You are responsible for doing the math in your head for those transactions. If your variance is more than $20 or $25 when you're using a cash apron, you get a notation on your record card. Another option that I completely didn't know or suspect until my program is carnival games. At Animal Kingdom in Dinoland, there are carnival games set up, and those are actually operated by merchandise cast members. I guess I should have assumed that because it does involve you paying money to play the game, but I just figured it was an attraction. It's not. Glow carts can be part of your job or your whole job. In my location, they were part of my job. The cast deployment system, the system that tells you when your breaks are and what position you're in at what time, it would pick a person that clocked in at a certain time to be glow for the evening. I only got it about 4 times on my program, and it was honestly a lot of fun. I actually really liked it. I wouldn't want to do it every night because you are isolated, you're by yourself, and you have the stress of dealing with a cash apron again. During the hotter months, Disney sells these plastic water bottles that spray water and they have a fan attached to cool you off. I believe on my program they were selling for $17. So they're a huge rip-off. Those are also sold using a cash apron, and that's another option for merchandise. Again, the thing about cash apron is that, say you're working a glow cart and someone steals a toy while you're not looking, or you're swarmed with a lovely Brazilian tour group and suddenly you realize that one is missing as they all swarm away. Maybe they didn't even mean to take it, but guess what? They did, and now you're short $15 probably, because most of the toys on there are about $15. And that's really stressful. So that's the downside to that part of merchandise. While it's not quick service or full service food and beverage, certain merchandise areas do require you to handle food. Some areas require you to make candy apples and cotton candy and things like that. Some examples of those locations are the confectionery on Main Street, Big Top Souvenirs in Storybook Circus, the Candy Cauldron in Downtown Disney, just to name a few. You can't wear nail polish the way you can in other merchandise areas because you're handling food, and you also can't wear jewelry while you're working with food. Leave a legacy. My area dealt with Leave a Legacy because, well, I'm giving it away. I worked in Future World North at Epcot. During the Millennium Celebration, Epcot decided it would be a great idea to put these huge slabs of marble in the front of Epcot with metal plates attached to the front, and they engraved people's pictures in them. It's actually pretty cool because now guests can come back 15 years later and find their photo of their family vacation 15 years ago. And my location got the opportunity to help guests find their picture on the marble slabs. They would come into Camera Center where the locator was at and give us their name and their state, and we would find it, and then give them the exact location of their tile, and they would go out and be able to find it. And they could also see the picture in color on the computer screen and take a photo of it for themselves. And those are some of the best moments of my program. Okay, here comes my favorite one. So my area also included, Stroller Rental. That was definitely not what I was expecting when I signed up for merchandise, but it is in fact under the umbrella of merchandise. It's actually not as bad as it might sound. At Stroller Rental, you clean strollers. You have to know basic maintenance on electric wheelchairs, like how to restart them if they stop working, drive them and put them in reverse, move the seats around and things like that. And you have to be able to park them well and straight so that they can all fit in the ECB garage of your area. There's a lot to it. It sounds really basic, but there's a lot of steps in Stroller Rental that aren't in regular merchandise that you have to know. It was actually my favorite location to work for the first part of my program. I really enjoyed it. And then summer came and it got hot and I got sick of it and I started liking my indoor locations a bit better. In merchandise, there's a high likelihood of deployment. For those of you who don't know, deployment means Disney says, hey, your area is not going to be very busy this week and you are a little overstaffed. We're gonna take you without asking and move you over here. And that's where you're gonna work for however many weeks. 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, however long they think it's necessary for you to be there. They only deploy CPs, they don't employ part and full-time, so it's just one of the perils of being a college program kid. There's a very high likelihood of deployment as merchandise, because unlike attractions where you're limited to the 1 or 2 rides that you've been trained at, you can work at any gift shop on property. It's very easy to move you around. Sometimes it can be harder to get days approved off in merchandise than in other roles. For example, I tried to get the 24-hour event off. I literally requested it the day that it was announced. No, I got deployed instead. They needed a lot of people, so it was really hard for me to get that day off, and I ended up not getting it off. My boyfriend, who worked in attractions, got it approved within a day. He put it in and bam, he was approved. My roommate, who's in attractions, put it in and got approved. But myself, my other merchandise friends, my friends in quick service, they had a harder time doing that. And those days are also hard to give your shift away because everyone wants to go to them. That's one of the drawbacks, but the rest of the time it's super easy to not work if you don't want to. Those are basically all the pros and cons about merchandise that I can think of, or at least the biggest ones. Now I just want to talk a little bit about my personal experience with merchandise, where I worked and what I did and things like that, just to give you a little insight into a day in the life of a merchandise CP. So as I've already mentioned, I was placed in Future World North. My area included multiple gift shops, including Gateway Gifts and Camera Center, which are the 2 stores underneath Spaceship Earth, Stroller and ECV Rental, Gift Stop, which is a store outside the gates, and a cart that's nearby as well. The leaders in Future World North were also responsible for Future World West. It was technically one big area. Even though on my program guide it said my home location was Future World North, I could work in Future World West without it being considered deployment. It was just part of my area. So technically I worked Future World Northwest, which also included Journey into Imagination with Figment's gift shop, Green Thumb, which is the gift shop across from Soarin' in the Land, and the Seas gift shop. Like I said, my area wasn't what I was expecting. I wasn't planning on cleaning strollers or dealing with locker returns or working a gift stop where I processed 3 transactions in a 7-hour shift. When I put down merchandise, I expected the Emporium. Let's be real, that's the dream for everyone. But I didn't get it, and that's okay. Every area is different. Every area has pros and cons in addition to the roles themselves. One great thing about my area, I had great leaders. I loved almost all of my leaders. There was only one that I didn't care for, and even he wasn't that bad. My leaders cared a lot, and they were really great. What happens in most areas at the end of the night when it's time to close registers is the coordinators will come around and do that for you. However, in the Northwest, it was our responsibility, which was so awesome. It was something that most cast members don't get to do, especially not CPs. It was one of our closing assignments. It killed a lot of time at the end of the night where I just got to hang out with the other people assigned to that and my coordinator, whoever that was at the time, and it was really cool. It was a really great time to be kind of in a smaller group with my coordinators, so I got to know them really well, which was nice. My area was a very slow area. Like I mentioned, my gift shops were very small. Even in Stroller Rental, you know, people come in the morning to get their strollers and they come in at night to return them. But in the middle of the day, it's kind of dead. There's people, you know, every once in a while, but it's not like there's a constant stream of people. I was outdoors a lot. Stroller Rental was outside, which means being outside in the pouring down rain, in the terrifying lightning, in god-awful heat, and in the 40-degree cold winter, which doesn't sound too bad, but Spaceship Earth creates a wind tunnel, so it's very cold. Fun fact. It was a different experience than what I was expecting, but I have to say, I'm so happy that I was in Future World Northwest. While I wasn't thrilled when I found out my location, after 8 months of slaving away in Epcot, I can honestly say that I'm so happy that that was my home. I made the best friends that I could ever have asked for while I was on my program. You know, a lot of people talk about those great college program friends that you can make, and I didn't really think that I would walk away with the friends that I did. And I thought, yeah, we'll be friends while we're here, but we'll lose touch once we move back home. It's been 8 months since I left them, and we're probably closer now than we were when we started. I had to mute my phone because they were blowing up my phone while I was recording this. I know in my heart that that's why I was in the North. And this might be too mushy for this, but I don't care. I made friendships that will last the rest of my life. I wouldn't change a thing about my program because I ended up with the friends that I did. That's pretty much all I have on the topic of merchandise. and my experiences with it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it prepared you a little bit more for what to expect while working merchandise on your program, or I hope it helped you figure out if merchandise is something that you plan to apply for. If you guys have any questions about the merchandise role, the college program, or anything else for that matter, feel free to comment them below. Also, if you guys have any of your own experiences that you'd like to share about merchandise or whatever your role was, I'd love to hear those too. I love talking about the program and reminiscing about mine, so I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video and leave comments for me. And of course, for more content about the Disney College program, please subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Have a magical day!